seizures of property called civil forfeiture. These seizures, often legal, are usually used when illegal activities have been identified. In the case you are about to hear of, no normal legal agency or pathway has been available to the owners to keep what they own. Government calls it a dispute, but it is an illegal attempt to confiscate, to reassign assets through corrupt officials and to powerful people through government. Even in cases of eminent domain, the government has to reimburse the rightful owner of the property. Is this what we want from our government? Is this what we can expect for Americans? I have with me to discuss this issue of their own property, Irina Hockenjas on my left, and to her left, John Hockenjas. Let's try to do as best as we can to tell people what happened to you right before you first noticed that something was going on, and what happened after, to give you an idea that you were going to be in trouble.
Yes, so the individual that's involved in this, his name is Argo and Ellen Palmieri, started construction, an illegal construction, full gut rehab of an existing building.
And this is next to you?
Next to me. And at one point or another, a neighbor had called about illegal construction taking place. And it's a very serious allegation. Department of Buildings, inspectors barely even flinched. You know, they came by and just let them work. Eventually, it came down to a call to the Department of Investigation, who eventually did put a stop work order to the illegal activity. Him thinking it was us, I suppose, later on he comes on and tells us that, you know what, I got a stop work order. I'm going to take your property by official Department of Buildings permit, and it'll all be legal. Now, Chris, that was a very scary statement. There's two things in that statement. He's making an allegiance with the Department of Buildings, who failed to give him a stop work order. And second, he's also telling us in the statement that he is going to win in court our property. So,
and this is before you knew that this was actually going to occur. This is just out of the blue, him suddenly saying this.
No, it's some time earlier. I was just home, and what happened that prior of this individual Palmieri buying property, available lot next to us, identical to ours. His lot is 226, our lot is 225, and they're identical to all 47 other lots in the block built by one developer in 1925. And you would never guess that one lot could be expanded by taking over another one.
Right.
Because each one has private driveway, private backyard, and one 2-story house completely detached, all by deed, comes with the land, all the rights coming with the land.
But connecting to what happened day after day, I want to get to where he left off.
Yes, the prior what he is saying, what happened one day, that vacant lot wasn't even bought yet by Palmieri. It was months prior that they bought it. A local fire engine 246 from Homecrest Avenue came to all adjoining owners of that lot, and my lot in particular, and demanded that legal documents which with the survey attached of that lot 226, we have to give it as a gift, our private driveway and our private backyard.
This is the fire department?
Yes, absolutely. And firemen, they on duty came to, under duress, scare us to say that they're going to do inspection with the threats. And one of our neighbors, 93 years old woman, she signed her property to them because she didn't even understand what's happening. So
maybe that's what they were hoping from you.
Yes, we were complaining about it, but neither fire department, neither Department of Investigation did not respond. DA office did not respond as well. And that's how it started. Then it came to the Department of Buildings.
So you recognized first that he stated what he had to say, and then you discovered that agencies were not helping you. They were not.
They were acting in concert.
Right.
They were basically acting in concert. The Department of Buildings, next inkling that we got that we were in trouble, is when the application was posted in October of 2009, after he made this statement in August of 2009, he made the statement, August, and in October of 2009, he actually posts his application and he falsifies it. This is the first indication he's following through. Of course, we can't see the plans yet. We don't see the plans until March of 2010, and when I finally get the plans, I literally have to go to the Department of Buildings and request them and pay for them and whatnot.
Sheesh.
You know,
And
fill out.
this is your title. You have, let's go
Yeah.
back just a step here. You have
Yeah.
title, you have a mortgage, or is it paid for?
We have mortgage.
Okay, you had
Yeah.
a mortgage, so there isn't anything prior to this happening that was illegal, that you
No.
had, you were just residents of a home in Brooklyn.
Perfectly
Period.
legal.
Yes.
Such situation. And when we looked at the drawings, sure enough, he had construction taking place on our property. The architect actually acting in concert with this developer, Argo Palmieri and Ellen Palmieri, falsified the drawings. And the Department of Buildings just played dumb. They wouldn't recognize. We issued some complaints to the Department of Buildings. They were ignored because we knew already he was going to do this.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't listen to us. They wouldn't give us a forum. They wouldn't discuss it with us. And I begged the chief plan examiner to have a conversation and discuss this. And they basically, at one of the meetings we had, the plan examiner representing the chief plan examiner said, why don't you sell your property, why don't you give up your property to this individual? And
sell
I
the
said,
house without the land.
but this is not the job of the building officials
Did you-
to be making comments like this. You know, it's-
did you have a thought process at that point that maybe I should be recording this? I would have considered that right away.
Yes, very soon we installed the security cameras
installed-
related to all
But
of this.
but not
Yes.
not at that point, right?
Not at that point. We
Not exactly.
had different recordings, them stating the same things, and but those recordings were never used neither by DA office, Attorney General, or FBI, or even U.S. Attorney's offices. We complained to all of them, and at one point in 2010, in September, October, we spoke to FBI agent Robert Silveri. He said, it's their case. He said, you shouldn't be in a civil court with this. This is property stealing. This is not property dispute. But if you go to the civil
Which
court...
was right, I think.
Yes.
Pretty much, he made a
Yeah.
Sounds like perfectly sense to me
Yeah,
so
it's an
far.
extortion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said, even if you are in a civil court and judge makes the unlawful decisions, we have rights to overrule it, and we will do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, thanks God, our problem solved.
Yeah.
But FBI and Federal Plaza in New York City overruled that, and they said, you are on your own, and we feel sorry for you. How could you be on your own
And that
against crime?
I know where you are, but there's still there's no evidence you can apply to that language being used against you. You don't have a recording of it.
No, and what
Some
triggered the
of it we
cameras,
have.
Chris, basically...
I know you have later, but I mean,
Yeah.
things like that was said like
Right.
that are condemning.
Of course.
You'd think.
Some of it
Of course.
we
We
have.
just weren't prepared for this. We're just ordinary homeowners. Chris, and
Surprise, yeah.
We weren't ready for the corruption,
Yeah.
all the government corruption. So what triggered the cameras appearing at my property is basically they smashed the windows on my car, and I confronted this individual, and I said, what happened here? You know, I think you said you were going to repair any damage you did to my property. And he says, you can't prove it. And I said, oh my God, this guy really knows what he's doing. This guy is a professional
Thief.
thief. And I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, now I need to protect myself.
Interesting.
And,
Which is a natural state
Yes.
of affairs.
so now the cameras appear. We start to become learned in, recording conversations and things like that. And the police are not helping us at this point. They're actually, whenever we mention his name, they actually tell us to leave the precinct. They tell us initially, come to the precinct, we'll charge him with trespass, whatnot. We get there, as soon as they hear his name, sorry, nothing happened. And I'm like, but you said you were going to take a police report. And they just tell us, get out of here, otherwise we'll charge you with a trespass. So we weren't getting any help from the police department. We weren't getting any help anywhere. We basically solved our own crimes, but we weren't getting any law enforcement assistance.
We have a couple of clips that we're going to insert here, but is there time? Are we ready to talk about one of those clips?
So one of the clips is a clip of just at the point where the Department of Buildings finally agrees, after 10 months of us yelling and screaming about this guy, illegally building on our property. There's a clip that basically the profanity appears on a house because they've been forced to change their drawings to supposedly comply with the code. And we were just exercising our legal right to protect our property. And for some reason, they did all this.
This is not eminent domain.
No, it was not an eminent domain. It was basically, people.
Which is the right for a government agency to apply, as I said in the opening, the need to have a property for some reason for which you will be reimbursed.
Right. No,
that was never the case. And practically applying to him as a professional thief is absolutely correct. He works for the government official. He officially stealing the properties, and he called it by himself. He called it my project. After finishing your project, I'm going to go to next one. That's what he said. And project is to do illegal construction without one inspection to be done and got through renovation, alteration one, no plumbing inspection, no electric inspection, no licensed professional sign off.
Fire inspection.
This
is the city of New York.
He closed the walls, and after this was done, he practically now waiting for court decision, granting to him our property, and our title company is participating with it. You wouldn't believe what our title company done to us. They practically offer to us stipulation to sign, instead of protection, stipulation which starts like this. We the Hockenjas agree that Palmyra agree that we own our property. Who can sign that kind of stipulation? And we would have, by our own hands, handed Palmyra our property. Nobody will help us after that. Not like anyone helping us now, but after
this
that.
This is recently in Florida, and I understand in Pennsylvania there's been other events that were like this. This is apparently we just heard about it recently, and you hear it on the news. I mean, you hear it on the news. Everybody knows about it. I mean, I'm hearing about it late in the game, I suppose, because apparently this has been going on. Where can you fare at this point? Where can you go forward to assist yourself?
We can't assist ourselves. Everything preset, everything is done. And what we learn, it's a reasonable question. How this guy goes to the Department of Building, goes to Fire Department, to Department of Environmental Protection, and workers up to the commissioner level are doing what is illegal in contradiction of their duty. But also the courts helping him to get our property, calling it due to the process, but they forgetting the last word, due to the process of law. So it's nothing by law. It's a process of criminal extortion in the courts as well.
So there is no law out there that says that this can or can't happen. It's just happening.
Yes.
Right. It just keeps happening. And, I mean, he was disapproved 4 times. And it cost us dearly to get those disapprovals, because basically what you're doing, Chris, you're telling the Department of Buildings they screwed up.
Yeah. And
that's a rather difficult argument. But to this day, here we are, 4 years later, not one building inspection of an entire building, and the Department of Buildings admits to it. The gas lines have not been inspected. The water lines, the sewer system, nothing. The whole house represents a hazard to the public. And now one violation against this individual. Chris, I mean, if you have a violation, are you going to get away with that for 4 years and live illegally in that house? and get away with it? I don't think anybody can.
No.
Severe zoning violation, severe building code violation, and nothing is happening. We recently had homeowners in Suffolk County. She was arrested because when she bought the property, there were zoning violations, and she paid thousands of dollars in fines. It was paid off, but she got recently arrested. But he never was arrested, and in his court documents, he's underlining, I never paid a dime for any violation I got. He is even proud of it.
Yeah.
But it's all related to the agency which was created by Mayor Bloomberg
Yeah.
in 2006.
That was my next question.
Yes.
What happened there?
In 2006, Mayor Bloomberg created Executive Order 96 illegally without putting it through the City Council. And
Is that
by
the
that,
Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement?
yes,
Okay.
Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement. And that Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement has unique ability to contact all the agencies, Department of Building, Fire Department, Police Department, immediately and share with them all the information, and also the court administration. So we believe that this office claims they're solving financial crimes, they're solving real estate scams, they got even $617 million of federal funds to reimburse the victims who, due to victimization, because all the families are financially.
This is what this clearly is, so where's the money?
Yes, where's the
Exactly,
money?
exactly.
Yes, because they don't recognize us as victims, and matter of fact, they making us as victims.
Well, when you pay, I mean, I'm a novice at this understanding, but when you pay into a mortgage, you have a property, right? You have a lien, you have title, you have things, documents that supposedly back up and support. You have a note for your mortgage, and all these things back up and support yourself as a property owner.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
this is becoming not
They ignore all
null
of
and
it.
void. What happened?
It goes like this, Chris. Basically, if you're acquiescing someone building on your property, you're acquiescing and giving them permission to build on your property, and you will lose your property. So we've tried to be proactive, and that's why we took a two-pronged approach.
Isn't that the
by
right
going
thing
after
to
the
do?
Department of Buildings, yes, and the court system. But the court system says, well, he's not on your property yet. He just shows it on a plan.
No.
He has every intention of stealing your property.
And
So-
they don't have to believe an intention.
Yes, court
but-
system is not doing just that. We got restraining order against him, and under full restraining order from the court, he was 4 times approving Department of Building take it over by construction our property. But not only that, he filed a new case. When in our case, he's swearing that he's not interfering, falsely swearing. In new case, he's demanding our property without one law being mentioned or one case law being mentioned. He just demanding it 5 different ways.
This makes the reason why people become libertarians, they become anti-government, because here's your government controlling something, and they're not doing anything for you, and they're not representing you, they're not helping you keep your own property.
There's far too much power in the government, and basically, just prior to what you probably cut away to is what eventually becomes my arrest.
Did you
for
talk about the
attempted murder.
second clip?
This would be the second clip.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Basically, I wrote a letter to Ray Kelly. After I exhausted all my appeals to the precinct commander, they basically said they refused to meet us. We were being attacked by gangs. We were being attacked by there were people robbing our car, cutting the brakes on my car, and it was just getting totally outrageous.
Yeah.
And it was clear that the individual next door was ordering these hits on me. And I could not get the police to even look at one videotape. And I have videotape, I have an archive of all these activities taking place in a short period of time. So we appealed to Commissioner Ray Kelly, who of course was appointed by Mayor Bloomberg. And he basically said, I'm not going to meet with you guys. And I said, but my life is in danger.
Yeah.
And your job is to secure the citizen's life.
Safety
It's
first.
safety first, right. 2 weeks after I sent the letter to him, lo and behold, there's 2 police officers in my driveway with the guy next door. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I knew it wasn't good. And as soon as we arrived, we just slowly creeped up, came to the front of the car, and I just told the officers, this is my property. I'm not sure, officer, but why are you here? I pointed to my cars. This is my driveway. I'm not sure why this individual is here and why you're here. They wouldn't tell me anything, and all of a sudden they basically verbally attacked my wife. And I said, that's unacceptable. This is my property. You know, what are you doing here? You're not answering my question. He called a distress call to like 5 or 7 patrol cars to arrive at my property. And so there's a clip that actually shows later that I'm being arrested. Now they're not telling me what I'm being arrested for. And unbeknownst to me, they also assaulted my wife behind the construction fence. My wife was scared. And she later gets a disorderly conduct. I was sent to Rikers. When I heard the charge, the first time I heard the charges at arraignment, I almost fainted. I couldn't believe it was attempted murder of a police officer in New York City. You know, and they set us up. It was a complete frame-up, like everything else that happened to us. We were being framed.
An NYPD cop has been indicted, accused of trumping up charges against an innocent man. What he didn't know, though, is that surveillance video tells the real story. Jay Dow joins us with more on this. Jay?
The NYPD officer's name is Diego Palacios. He's now a criminal defendant, accused of lying under oath about what happened during his attempt to resolve a dispute between neighbors. There are at least a half dozen surveillance cameras peering out from the walls of John Hockenjas' Sheepshead Bay home. NYPD officer Diego Palacios, seen standing in Hockenjas' driveway, apparently didn't think they were working. Brooklyn prosecutors say the officer flat out lied about what happened during his February encounter with the vigilant homeowner. The officer was arrested this morning. Your camera saved you. This could have very well have come and gone, and no one would have been able to prove otherwise.
Unfortunately, sir, I would say that a lot of people are in situations where they don't have proof that an officer lied under oath, and they're sitting in prison right now.
Seconds earlier in the recording, Hockenjas is seen slowly pulling into his own driveway. He gets out and walks around the car to speak to Officer Palacios. But investigators say the officer wrote that Hockenjas pulled into his driveway at a high rate of speed, so fast that the officer, sworn to protect and serve, allegedly lied in his report that he had to leap out of the way for fear of his life. It gets worse. Hockenjas was arrested and had to spend 3 nights in jail.
He was not in danger. I mean, it's as simple as that. I was facing 7 years in prison. I did nothing wrong. I simply came here on Super Bowl Sunday to enjoy the Super Bowl on my property.
So why all the cameras? Neighbors gave us the scoop.
I think it has to do with the cars in the driveway, and one of them is on the other one's property, and you just don't really ever know the exact nature of why they're fighting. It's just they're always fighting.
Prosecutors say they don't know what Palacios' motive was, whether he was trying to advocate in some way for Hockenjas' neighbor, or whether he saw some kind of financial opportunity in lying about almost being hit by a car. In any case, he faces several criminal charges, including falsifying business records. If convicted of all charges, he could spend up to 20 years in prison. In Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, Jay Dow, Pix 11 News.
What's the next step? We have about 3 minutes left. What's the next step? What's your next process?
The problem is that the judge, Larry Martin, who is known as a corrupt judge in New York City, he approved his case, baseless case. And our issue is our home, our property is not triable, but he wants us to try to dispute our property in the court. This is the first step of extortion through the court. We understand where it's leading. And Mr. Bloomberg authority in severe corruption is going to pull it through. That's what we are afraid of.
And the final straw, Chris, was I lost my job. I worked for the government.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I'm having problems with
With the
corruption in the
government,
government, and I work for the government.
And you lost your job from
They
the
just
government.
lose my job, and they don't really tell me and explain to me how I lost my job. Isn't that interesting? And Bloomberg has 5 appointees on the MTA board that he could have exercised whatever flexibility or pressure to the MTA to ensure that I wouldn't be working anymore. So now I don't have a job. So where do we go? You know, they basically depleted everything. I'm on the verge of some type of foreclosure.
All our life savings, we spent 200,000 life savings on attorneys who were stealing tens of thousands of our money and run away, one after another.
Yeah, you know, where you're at, it just seems like, where do you go? I mean, there is no place to go that you get so far. But
we don't feel like we can even sell the house. I mean, because I don't trust anybody even coming in my house.
what about that possibility?
Well, that's the problem. I mean,
I mean,
if I let
selling-
people in, this guy, we don't really trust him. I mean,
that may push another issue going forward. If you have
Exactly.
somebody come in,
And
well,
drop the drugs
it
or
may not
something
be
else.
it may not be
Yes.
bad. It may be good to have
Yes.
somebody else come to make an attempt to buy the house. Could be an offer in good faith that might come to the real estate business, and maybe the real estate protection, the National Association of Realtors. I'm
Possibly.
making this up. I don't really
Possibly.
know the answer to this.
Yes, it's
But I mean,
very,
it's a
very
possibility.
hard to
but
believe.
he's
very hard to
interfered with my
believe, see.
tenants.
Yes.
He's a real estate agent. We made a
Oh,
complaint.
he's a real
to
estate
the-
agent on top of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's
Oh, yeah.
illegal in this country, and real estate agent cannot be illegal, and he's sharing Social Security with American woman.
He's got us covered.
It's
like a glove.
unbelievable.
I mean,
at
we
this point.
can't move in any direction. He's shown that he will interfere with any business dealings I have. So if I try to sell it, he will interfere with that, and you won't even know it because he'll do it behind the scenes, because that's what he did to my tenants. So.
And he's not a neighbor. He never lived there. He
just bought it and rented it, I believe, right?
Yes.
It's a-
He bought it and did construction.
A restaurant
and
property.
he shows up there
Developer.
to make it look like he's a neighbor, and whole thing is like coercive persuasion. The government saying he's the neighbor. It's a due to process, but not due to process by law. And it's also that if judge will grant to him your property, it's not going to be any crime. It's going to
be a bad
just
decision.
bad decision. This like re-educating us in laws and morals, and it's in life issues, which is violating severely our
And yeah, you got to worry about
human
your
rights.
mental health, your physical health. It's gonna shoot you down.
It's been.
And you had an
very
innocent
trying.
life before this. This is absolutely crazy. Thank you very much, both of you, John and Irina Hockenjas. It's an amazing story. Americans are fast becoming victims of brain salad surgery. Political corruption, social perceptions, and media-driven narratives are rapidly carrying away our republic, our very understanding of what America is. Our nation, our government is shaken, disrupted, and confused by a new social order. We're losing our common sense. It's making us become vulnerable to strikes of deceit. This is kind of like what's going on in your I don't know how you're going to make it from here, but I wish you the best of luck. My name is Chris DiMaggio. Thank you for watching FIT TV, and we'll see you again next week.